Another story heavily discussed online today is football bosses cracking down on bad behaviour. The FA, the Premier League and the Players' Union want their respect programme to raise standards at every level. This is the kind of incident they want their scheme to stop, a high-profile standoff between Chelsea's Ashley Cole and referee Mike Riley last season. The scheme started in March and was aimed at football's lower leagues. Its message: the officials are important, respect them.
Referees will work more closely with team captains to manage the game, with captains asked to take more responsibility for the conduct of their teammates. Referees are also instructed to deal firmly with open dissent.
So can the multi-millionaires of top-flight football improve their manners a little? Joining us to discuss it, Neil Monnery, editor of talkon.it. Very good evening to you. Can it work?
It can, but it's going to take a lot of time and a lot of effort. This is the type of thing that, we're ingrained. People that go to football when they're 30, 40, they've been going for 20-odd years. And do they want to change? No. That's what they're going to have to try and do. OK, former referee Jeff Winter doesn't think it has much of a chance, unfortunately, in the Premier League.
I think we're a long way away from having a situation where a referee makes a decision and a player's going to give enough self-control to just accept it. Perhaps the penalties have got to be more severe, but we've seen on numerous occasions, cries for let's show more respect, and then it happens that there's no respect whatsoever and the authorities don't take action.
Quite pessimistic there from Jeff. But, Neil, do you think it's something that real football fans who go and stand on the terraces, not anymore, but every week, will get behind?
No, I don't. That's I think, the problem. People have been going football for 20, 30-odd years, and they're thinking, why do we want to change? We take our frustrations out on Saturday afternoon towards referees, etc. The one thing that we think that maybe you can change is on the Sunday mornings at the parks. Because, parents, they swear and things like that. And what's the point? It doesn't really help the kids. And the referees that do it for fun on a Sunday morning are thinking, well, is it really worth, the £10 or whatever I get?
OK, well, on the forums, football forums, they seem to agree with you on this one. Let's take a look at this one. To me, this smacks of an annual bleating by the FA to clean up the game without having the balls to back up this with consistent action throughout the season. I can't help but think it won't be carried through with any consistency, as was the case last season with the correct sending off of Mascherano, but the wildly incorrect tolerance of behaviour from players such as Cole, Terry and Rooney. I mean, I guess that's one of the keys, isn't it? Consistency. If it goes in the lower leagues, the Sunday football matches, you've got to have it from the likes of Cole and Rooney. Well,
that's the thing. One day, a big-name referee will actually send a player off, quite rightly, and hopefully, the players will respect that, but they don't. Everyone just said about the Mascherano incident last year, it was ridiculous. They are following her around, and you've got players sort of, holding the referee's arm and putting it down so he doesn't put up the second card. It's stupid. We need to get it at the top level and then the young people will follow suit. But until then, until they do it at the top level, it's really going to struggle.
Well, one top-level player who has had his fair share of bad behaviour, Rio Ferdinand, we asked him how he thinks the Premier League will deal with this crackdown.
If the rules are made to be that way, then you've got to just take it on the chin and deal with it. I think that's what it is like in rugby. And you've just got to kind of bite your tongue and get on with it. But if that rule does come about, then I'm sure we'll all deal with it in the right way.
It's interesting, Neil, there that he mentioned rugby, because that is seen as the gentleman's game and you don't necessarily get the arguments. I mean, they could take a leaf out of rugby's book.
Yeah, the thing about football and rugby is traditionally they're two different classes of people. Middle-class people do rugby, whereas working-class people do football. And that's where the crossover we're going to have to start thinking about, because football, at the top level, it's getting more expensive. So the working-class people are starting to get priced out. So maybe you'll see something like that. But the traditional routes are different between the two sports, and that's where one of the problems lies.
It's not unique to the English game, though, is it? Spain, Italy, is it?
All over the world. It's football. That's just the way it is. It's a pack mentality. Footballers, the fans are in packs. They chant in packs. Whereas in rugby, it's all more generally, fans, mingle between each other.
OK, it's good to have you with us, Neil Monnery, editor of talkfootball.co.uk. Thank you very much indeed. We've got some breaking news on the football front to bring you. As you can see, Rangers FC have been knocked out of the UEFA Champions League already. Not good news for Rangers fans this evening.